Hey guys, how's it going? So what I just came up with about 15 minutes ago before I came up here was talking about collaborating with somebody. And I have a good buddy of mine that I've known for too long and still know him to this day. So he does art assets for me because he's better at drawing than I am. The problem with working with artists, are any of you guys artists? I'm sorry, but I'm about to besmirch your good honor, is when I'm working with them, if I'm trying to program something like the running and jumping mechanics, say in a Mario game, I have to tell them, like, hey, I need some sprites here so that I can start working on this guy. And he'll go off and get into his headspace and think, what is the motivation for this guy to be running? What does he need out of life to really make this sprite move forward? And like, at the end of the day, I just need a guy on the screen so that I can apply these mechanics. So when I start programming my game, I have something I'm actually looking at rather than some text values. And so we always kind of get in this kind of standoff situation where it's like, I need assets now and you need to think about things. So what I ended up started doing is just making my own placeholder stuff with the Wacom tablet and GIMP. And here's like some of the placeholders that I had made here, but what I noticed at the Game Jam was that not a lot of people knew how to really collaborate with a lot of different people in a small group. I assume most of you guys do independent work. So not a whole lot of people sharing stuff like that. And I tried explaining Git to him as a programmer, and he's an artist, and he just kind of looked at me with like this look of anger. And I'm like, you know what, maybe this isn't the best solution. You don't really need Git, and plus we don't need to put binary data inside of a repository. So what we ended up doing is using Dropbox, and that has been a much better improvement to our workflow. So it's like, what will happen is I'll go create my placeholder assets, and I put them in the SD folder because it's the standard def Game Boy graphics. And you know, you can see here, that's kind of what the game looks like, some very small pixel art. It's 8x8. He'll upscale this stuff, and he'll just go into each one of these and just say, okay, you got that conveyor belt. It's got 4 frames of animation. He'll go and just basically draw over that, and he'll go over to his HD folder and just kind of redraw all these assets to be like a higher resolution. We say HD in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way because he goes from my Game Boy graphics to his Game Boy Advance graphics, therefore quote-unquote HD. Sorry, it's a corny joke. Anyway, so it's like every time he updates something, I'll automatically see it in the folder, and it's going to show up and say, like, hey, such and such file has been updated. And if I'm using Texture Packer, all I do is have to open this, and I can check out my sprites here. And these are my original sprites here, and these are all 16 by 16, and I upscaled them to be 32 by 32 or whatever. And so that when I get his stuff, I just create this HD sprites, and it's like the same stuff, but it's in much higher resolution. Of course, obviously the star hasn't been changed here. But if any of you guys have used Texture Packer, yes. Okay, so I don't really have to go too far into depth. Does anyone want to hear about it who hasn't used it? If you haven't used it, I suggest you use it because it makes things tremendously much easier. Anyway, the game we've been working on in the past few days is just this little number here, and I've been trying to collect as much data as possible from people failing at this game. So if you want to give your hand and see if you can, how far you can get, I would appreciate it. I'll post this in the Slack channel. Actually, I already posted it earlier today, so if you can kill time at work. This is just kind of what I've been farting around with. I'm trying to get something done within a few weeks, and like here's his version. And of course, I'm not very good with the touchpad here. This is meant to be made with a phone. Anyway, as you can see, I'm just like basically, I make my placeholders, I put it in Dropbox. He sees like, oh, I created a new asset called like ground or something like that. And all he has to do is just go take those dimensions, make his own version, and pump it out. And suddenly I have it, and I just have to export it in Texture Packer, and that's it. That's our quick rundown of our workflow. So, does anyone have any questions?
Have you had problems with like one of you accidentally deleting the other files?
No, that's why we use the SD and the HD folder. So, like, I will basically copy paste my SD version into the HD folder when he has to go over it, so that if I were to try to build all of his assets into the HD version and it wasn't there, it'd use my placeholder in the time being, He has deleted some of my stuff, but it's just kind of one of those things like, what are you doing, you idiot? I mean, it's not hard not to delete files. I mean, it's 2016, nobody's file system at this point, but in Dropbox you can set permissions. So if somebody is particularly inept with computers, just go and remove their delete privileges, or just remove all their privileges. They don't need it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Is anyone else?
Is he creating the assets, or does he have, or is it just that he has a greater collection? That's his process.
What was that?
Does he create the assets, or does he just have all the libraries and that's his part of the process?
So before he was creating all the assets, and we'd have conversations, and this is like on the last game that we worked on was the Tank Hero game, and I would have a hard time trying to just explain to him what I needed. So I'm like, look, I just need a picture of a tank on the left-hand side with the cannon going up and down, and he would like send me back like this full-on 3D rendering of a tank. I'm like, no, that's not what I needed. It's like totally off. So it was a little bit easier for me to just like make a placeholder for him to see and like, look, these are the parameters that you're working within, and he would just go in and have nuts with what he could do within those parameters. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds like he's
Yeah, he's pretty talented. All things considered, he has one good merit to himself.